All right, kiddos, we're here at Unit 5, Photosynthesis and Cellular Respiration Review. In your packet, we'll help you with many of these questions, but I did kind of want to go over this one right here. So in the light-dependent reaction, things that enter the reaction, obviously light, okay, and it tells you that in your packet. But the other part that goes in at this point is water. So both light and water have to be used for this light-dependent part. Things produced are ATP and NADPH and some oxygen, which is the byproduct. So the ATP and the NADPH are going to go into the Calvin cycle along with carbon dioxide, the other thing plants require. Those churn together and reform those bonds and use the hydrogen on the NADPH and the carbon and the oxygen from the carbon dioxide, and they make sugar. All right, and that's your end product, glucose, C6H12O6. All right, you'll be practicing that down there and talking about aerobic and anaerobic respiration, and then somewhere we get to our multiple choice. There we are. All right, so number one, we got a graph, all right? Graphs are great when you get those on the SOL because you just have to interpret what they're saying. So you'll notice you got nighttime, daytime, nighttime. And we have oxygen and carbon dioxide on here. So sometimes I like to try to figure out what they're saying before I even look at the question. So I noticed that the nighttime, my carbon dioxide is really high. And then during the day, it goes real low, this concentration of gas, and then goes back up at night. And the opposite is true of oxygen, right? And we know that we're talking about plants, right? Because we're doing photosynthesis. So what is occurring during the day, all right, that's going to make a lot of oxygen? Well, that should, hopefully you know, photosynthesis. So the above graph shows how dissolved oxygen and carbon dioxide levels changed in a pond over a 24-hour period. What caused the decrease in oxygen concentration during the night? So during the night, we were making less oxygen because of why? Does it have to do with evaporation? No. Respiration. Well, if we have more respiration, then we're using oxygen, right? Is there a difference when we use oxygen during the day and the night? Well, I don't know. What about decreased photosynthesis? If you have less photosynthesis occurring at night, which makes sense because there's no sun at night, if you have less photosynthesis, you're going to have less oxygen, right? Which is what we see here. And then during the day, it pops up because the plants in the pond can do photosynthesis, and then we go back down. Temperature does affect dissolved oxygen, but it's actually the cooler it is, it holds more, so you would have more oxygen at night. So that's not what's happening. You should have C, decreased photosynthesis. The process of photosynthesis and cellular respiration can be thought of as a cycle because, so if we look at our chart again, comparing the two, so the raw materials of photosynthesis are water and carbon dioxide, and it makes glucose and oxygen. In respiration, the raw materials are glucose and oxygen, and it makes water and carbon dioxide. So you can see how these guys are related just by looking at this chart, right? They're not the same, but they are similar. But what one uses, the other produces. So now we got to find the answer that goes with that. One is only used by plants, and the other is used only by animals. That's partially true. The products of one are used as the raw materials of the other. Well, is that true? Is the products of this one the raw materials of the other? Oh, for sure. And this chart definitely shows you that. So you should have picked B. All right. C, both give off oxygen. That's obviously not a thing because this one does not give off oxygen. And they both have the same purpose. Well, you can see the purposes are different right here. So these bottom two, you should definitely have been able to rule out right away. That's kind of how SOL questions work. They usually have one or two answers that are just not even feasible. And then they have one that's a little close maybe, and then one that's an actual answer. Most autotrophs, remember autotrophs make their own food automatically, obtain energy they need to sustain life through the chemical process of. So if you're making your own food automatically, what process are you doing? Photosynthesis, okay? If you're eating other organisms or different organisms, you're a heterotroph, and then you would be doing cellular respiration. All right, autotrophic fermentation is anaerobic respiration, And so photosynthesis is what you're doing really to sustain life. Number 4, an Olympic level swimmer can experience oxygen deprivation during long competitions. This can result in, so if you don't have enough oxygen, are you doing aerobic or anaerobic? Well, aerobic means with oxygen, anaerobic is without. So you're going to do anaerobic. So now we're between B and C, right? So does anaerobic produce lactic acid in the muscles or ethanol in the muscles? Well, you're not working out and getting drunk on ethyl alcohol, right? That would be terrible, but you do get that, you do feel the burn in your muscles. So that's lactic acid B. 5, algae and multicellular plants are autotrophs. So again, they're making their own food automatically because what are they doing? If you're algae, you're green. And if you're green, you're doing photosynthesis. And then what photosynthesis is? Using sunlight to make sugars. Okay. Which substance is produced other than carbon dioxide and water during cellular respiration? So this is what comes out of your face. So when you breathe out after you eat, right? You take in your sugar, you breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide and water, and then what's the point of eating all that sugar to begin with? Energy. All right, so you release ATP. Hopefully you know you don't spit out sugar or make sugar. None of you are that sweet, okay? Number 7, which chemical process is described below? So we're taking in carbon dioxide and water. So obviously we don't breathe carbon dioxide. Who does? Plants, right? Plants need carbon dioxide and water. So this is a plant thing. They make sugar and they make oxygen. So what process do plants do? Photosynthesis, right? They just left the light off to throw you off a little. Here's another chloroplast process, it says. So obviously, if it's the chloroplast, you're talking about plants, right? So the diagram above shows the input and output process within the chloroplast of a cell. Which substance is represented by Y? So if this is plants, plants make 2 things, oxygen gas and what else? And hopefully you picked glucose, okay? They don't make carbon dioxide. We do when we do cellular respiration. They don't make light. They're not glowing plants. And they're not directly making their ATP. That's made by cellular respiration too. Number 9, which is required for aerobic respiration? So you need to know what aerobic means. What's in the air that you use? Oxygen. Number 10, a student observes a type of eubacteria containing chlorophyll. Well, what color is chlorophyll? It is green. Which of these does this type of bacteria have in common with plants? Well, if it's using green stuff, guess what process it's doing that plants also do? Photosynthesis. Number 11, the organelle that is most directly related to photosynthesis, I hope you know, is the chloroplast. The Golgi packages proteins. Smoothie R removes toxins and produces lipids, And the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, makes energy and does cellular respiration. Number 12, what is the primary purpose of cellular respiration? So in cellular respiration, you're breathing oxygen and you're eating sugar, and what are you trying to get out of that? You're trying to get energy, right? So capturing carbon dioxide, well, do we breathe carbon dioxide? We breathe oxygen. So already that one can't be right. Capture oxygen, yes, we do that from the atmosphere. To be stored by the cell, do we store oxygen? No. Capture energy from light. Are we capturing energy for light? No, that's plants, right? How about release energy from our food in a chemical form that can be used? Yeah, that's the whole purpose. That's what we're trying to do. Hope that helps. Good luck, guys. Bye.